cis 30 degrees into a plus b form. We want to write it instead of trigonometric form. We want to write it as a complex number. So we're going backwards. Now this is pretty straightforward. Remember that this cis here really means that we have 5 times, the C stands for cosine of our angle 30 degrees, plus I sine is what the S stands for of our angle 30 degrees. Okay, so first you want to expand it back out and write it in standard form rather than in abbreviated form. So again, 5, this means cosine of the angle plus I sine of the angle. And then we just calculate that. Now we know the exact values for 30 degrees. If it's an angle like 86 that you don't, just use your calculator to calculate those. But since we know the exact values, we want to use the exact values here. So we have 5 times the cosine of 30, we know, is the square root of 3 over 2, plus I, the sine of 30, we know, is 1/2. Okay, and that's in degrees. We want to go ahead and distribute the 5. 5 times root 3 over 2 is 5 root 3 over 2. And 5 times 1/2 is 5/2. And we're going to put the I at the end because typically when we write numbers, here we put the I at the front. Okay, but when we write I with a number, we put the number first and then the I. Okay, and that's it. 5 root 3 over 2 plus 5/2 I is our answer. Okay, let's try a few more. Here we want to convert root 2 cis pi over 4 to a plus bi form. Again, we just write down what this actually means. This means the square root of 2 times cosine of our angle pi over 4 radians plus, always plus, sine pi over 4. Now, you always write plus here. If this number happens to come out negative, you'll end up with subtraction in the end, but you always start with a plus. All right, so let's calculate. Again, we know the exact values for cosine and sine of pi over 4. The cosine of pi over 4 is positive root 2 over 2. The sine of pi over 4 is also positive root 2 over 2. We distribute the square root 2. Root 2 over 2 times, or excuse me, square root 2 times square root 2 is 2. So we get 2 over 2 plus square root 2 times square root 2 is 2. So again, we get 2 over 2, but I here. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 2 divided by 2 is 1, and we would probably write that as just 1 plus I. Right, here is yet another. We're going to convert 5 cis pi to a plus bi form. So write it out. 5 cosine of the angle pi plus I sine of the angle, which is pi. Right? The cosine of pi we know is -1. The sine of pi is 0. So we have 5 times -1 plus 0, which is just 5 times -1, or the number -5. Okay, let's do one more demonstration here. So here we want root 3 cis 5 pi over 3. Oh, that means the square root of 3 times. C is our 4 cosine of our angle 5 pi over 3 plus I, S is for sine of our angle 5 pi over 3. All right, we know the exact value for the cosine of 5 pi over 3. Now remember, 5 pi over 3 is almost all the way around. Okay, so that leaves us with just a pi over 3 or a 60-degree angle here. Okay, but if you look at your chart or if you've memorized your values, the cosine of 5 pi over 3 is positive 1/2. The sine of 5 pi over 3 is negative root 3 over 2. Okay, so when we simplify this, we multiply the root 3 through here. Root 3 times 1 is root 3, and then we have over 2, plus Notice root 3 times root 3 is just 3, but we had this negative here, so we have plus negative 3 over 2 I. And when we simplify that, that gives us root 3 over 2 minus 3 halves I. Okay, so that's how you would come up with a minus either on the end or on the front, is if you end up in a quadrant where either the sine or the cosine is negative. Always start with the plus here, but if your values come out to a negative, that's when your negative would show up. So the a plus bi form of this number is root 3 over 2 minus 3 halves I.